So, welcome Devworld, great audience. Let's talk about mobile app development at scale. So, my name is Marcin Pakulnicki. This is the correct pronunciation. I'm from Poland, and you might not hear it from my accent, but indeed, I'm from Poland. I can also do the Polish accent, by the way, but maybe later, tonight. I'm also head of IT of the mobile app department at ING. Our department consists of roughly 25 teams, 100 iOS, Android developers, Kotlin, Java developers, engineering managers, tech leads, support staff, so on, the whole bunch. I actually started as a Flash developer, so yeah, those of you in the room over 30 remember Flash. I'm still super sad that the platform died. Awesome days, my first love. So quickly transitioned to Android, full stack development. Then I joined ING as an engineering manager. These days I'm the head of IT for mobile. So you might ask yourself, is Marcin still a bit hands-on? Well, a bit so, yes, actually. But to be honest, should you wonder, actually more than half of my job consists of basically phoning around people and making sure others can code more. So yeah, that's the harsh truth. So why a talk about scaling an app across multiple countries? Well, because those of you actually who are in the room and have been around the block for a couple of years, and that comes quite quickly, I can tell you, you actually know that the gist of software development is in scaling a project, is in solving the problems that come with scalable architectures, organizing your teams, getting your user base from 100 users to 100,000, from one country to 3 to 5. So if you're like us, like my department, if you're live in the Netherlands, Belgium, soon Australia, Germany, and your customers are using you every day for their money management, for every day for their money, you're mission critical, then, well, there is not much room to failure either, right? So how do you organize for that from one particular single code base? Yeah, speaking about single code base, some context, facts and figures around the project of this, what this talk is about. So this talk is about a specific project that's called One App. And One App for ING is literally one app. One app built from one single code repository and simultaneously scaled out to 6 countries where ING has at least a mobile presence. So we're already live in the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and soon to be live in Italy, Romania, and later in the year also Australia. And it's literally one app, right? We built one single executable, well, albeit in 2 platforms, iOS, Android, and simultaneously push it to the app stores. So you might ask yourself, why does creating one app make sense for ING? Because after all, we already have multiple app entries in all these app stores in all these countries. And the answer is actually, well, to the left or to the right of me, most features are the same. Yeah, so give it a percentage in all these apps that I compiled here on the picture. But why would you make card configuration module? Why would you make move money module or a login sequence 6, 7, 8 times over? You just make cool stuff instead of rebuilding the same app 6 times over. So how does this work? Also important to standardize this because the role of the app, of moving money apps, change over time. So for those of you from the Netherlands here, you might recognize this as the app from the past, the ING app from the past. It used to be really simple, balance-based, some transactions, really utilitarian. But as the time progresses, the app gets ever more complex because this is how it looks like now, most of the time. It's the main platform for all customer interaction. So not just some customer interaction, literally everything ING offers to the customers is in the app. So it's a product config application. It's a full stocks trading application. It's a financial calculator, all these things, financial forecasting tool. And moreover, it is the single way to contact the bank because either through chat or through authenticated call, because then you're already in the app and we already know who you are, so we can help you much, much better without you just, cold calling us. All right. What follows is the lessons that we learned along the way when scaling up this project to 6 countries, from the Netherlands to these 6 other countries, and lessons that made us humble, but we believe it's worth to share with you. So they'll be ranging from organizational to a bit architecture to product development. So let's go. 18 minutes still. All right, so lesson 1, maybe my favorite lesson, a bit more close to the heart for me, is organize your project around contribution. So I always say that within ING, we are not a digital agency that is creating an app, and then an ING country just receives the app and based on their requirements whatsoever. So basically, how we work. So let's get back to the teams that work with us. So we have 25 teams with around 100 iOS, Android developers, and they're scattered around Europe, right? So they're working in Amsterdam, they're working in Bucharest, Brussels, Nuremberg, and then on top of that, in those teams, you have your proverbial business colleagues, yeah? So that is your product owner, data analyst, marketing professional, UXer. And each of the teams owns a specific module or a series of modules with a functionality that is more or less entangled. Yeah, and so as I said, the concept evolves around one native shared code repository where all these teams push their work to. And from there, it just goes to the master branch, trunk-based development, and immediately to the stores. Let me drink something. So, by the way, on the left bottom side, you see something that's called maintainers check. And I wanted to highlight this a bit because we get this real often. So we're trunk-based development minded. I learned a lot of new things from the guy before me. And this is something called maintainers check. So now maintainers is a concept well known in open source software. But for us, it basically means by the end of the software development cycle, before it goes into the pipeline and then to the stores, we perform a human quality check. So those are our best developers that basically look at all the modules that are pushed from the feature teams, and they look, is the testing good enough? Is the code clean enough? Is the design patterns being adhered to, and so on? And we get this quite often because most often what I hear is, you should not fix that so late in the software development cycle. You should fix that like way before. You should fix that with pair programming. You should fix that, what did I hear? Test-driven development. You should fix that with sufficient testing. And that's all true. And I totally agree with that, and we do that as well. And those concepts really work. If you have one team, if you have 2 teams, they work on YouTube, they work in tutorials and in books. But believe me, if you have 25 teams, developers scattered all over Europe, and you're going live to 6 countries simultaneously, believe me, at some point you need a human quality gate. All right, let's continue. Back to the lesson. Let others participate and contribute. So this is, I think, the key to succeed in international projects. We have multiple modes of contribution to our project. For example, countries contribute the modules that we ship. So for example, in Germany, we have a team creating the Apple Pay module. Countries contribute full teams to our backlog so that they participate in product development as well. They can contribute individual team members, and then lastly, they can also contribute local modules such as Ideal, because typically that's a Dutch phenomenon, or in Belgium, Bankcontact. So this is only built in the Netherlands. But it's really, really important to engage your consumers of your project in your team. Okay, lesson 2, organize for product, not autonomy. So organize for product development. So do you recognize this from, let's say, the average agile software development environment, where you have teams with so-called purpose, and all they do, in fact, is they optimize for it. So you have this dependency domino, and every team actually strives to prolong their own existence while basically behaving like a mini startup in your bigger environment. So this is typical for larger environments. So you don't want this. What you actually want is to develop from a product backlog. So this is kind of inspired book by Marty Kagan, but a product backlog can typically be like a theme of functionalities. For example, it's customer communication. In customer communication, you can have chat, video, push messaging, and all these feature microteams pull work from that one backlog. And no, product backlog is not a purpose, because product backlog can merge into another product backlog or just cease to exist and when the work is done. So zooming in into the feature teams, this is about organization. We have small teams. The teams are as small as possible. And the key here is that all work of IT colleagues must be in code. So we don't have any IT colleagues that are in feature teams that somehow do not code, are in operations or something. So every developer codes, every developer writes tests, every developer merges to master with their module, and again, they pull from the product backlog. They pull their work from the product backlog. So here I pasted the team topologies analogy because, well, these concepts are basically the same. Although, to be honest, we introduced this notion of purposeless microteams at ING already, I think in 2019 or 2020, back when, long before I ever heard that team topologies was a thing. But I know that it's kind of mainstream these days, so I pasted this analogy here so that you have an idea, because it's kind of the same, our microteams with the stream-aligned teams. Right. We also have platform teams. So what do platform teams do? We also have run responsibility. So we do not only create, the features, then push it to the stores. Also, post go live, we have responsibility for the health of our code in production in all those countries simultaneously. So we have, of course, mobile standby, site reliability engineering, and a mobile platform team typically for things that do not go into the feature teams, well, such as third-party SDK integration, mobile pipelines, maintainability, and so on. One thing I want to highlight also is, well, regarding the whole team topology thing, is the enabling teams, which is a concept which is often confused, I notice. And for me, enabling teams means they typically fix a certain problem, and then they cease to exist. Yeah. So, and let's face it, that's mostly a migration. Yeah, because you have some kind of an upgrade on a large scale that you need to do in all your teams. And let's face it, the small micro teams already don't have the mind space to do that, and basically it never happens. And I think in team topologies, there was a word for it. Wait for it. Cognitive load. So there's too much cognitive load in those feature teams, so that basically never gets done. So for me, enabling teams work like this. You fly in a set of one of very senior developers who fix the problem one by one, and then basically when the problem is fixed, the enabling team seems to exist. Now, sometimes I read on the internet that I don't know, departments in large organizations have 3, 4 enabling teams in your department. So I guess they have many problems. Anyway, lesson 3. Be a modular tech platform. That was a very, very hard lesson for us. That's also really hard regarding, let's say, the mentality in your teams. What do I mean by that? We are a provider to a lot of countries, to a lot of other teams, but we are a consumer as well. And we don't build everything ourselves. We also integrate services from others within ING or from the market if there's a better version of it. Yeah, that's really a mind shift, to be a modular tech platform. So, I mean, the obvious example always in larger organizations is to use a unified design system, nicely called at ING is called Orange Juice. And we don't have our own design agency. We just reuse the design language of ING. And the upside of that is, of course, when you have extendable architecture, like I will show you in a few minutes, when you go out of the native flow in the app and you enter a web flow, well, at least the look and feel is a bit the same. So, of course, you notice that you go out of native and you go into web, but at least you have the same design system. Moreover, we also use full services from other departments at ING. So at ING, we have this awesome department called Touchpoint, and basically they offer exactly that, shareable utilities. Yeah, so they offer a front end, back end, and databases with login, password means, and PIN biometrics. So we actually assemble those in our app. We don't build it ourselves. So there is a better version out there, so we integrate it in our product. And they do also the same for web. So by the way, then if you have integrating such a SDK, then at least the look and feel for customers is the same across channels. But yeah, who does use web still anyway? Content management system, I'm just going to go quick over that. We don't, of course, we don't offer that as well. So let's quickly go to product development. So standardized for global. As I said, one app is literally one app. So if we roll out an app to all these countries, the feature set is basically set in stone. You cannot disable all the modules like the standard modules like move money or payment request or something like that. However, it's really important to customize them because I mean look at this. If you're living in the Netherlands using ING, most probably you know this landing page. That's the product overview. It's global, so in all countries get this. However, if you look on the left, it's, well, I wouldn't say infinitely, but it's quite customizable. Do you want to have 3 quick launch buttons? Sure, fine. If you want to have 5, fine. If you want to have 0, also fine. So basically, each segment of the design is customizable and can be basically customizable to the build of a specific country. The same for transaction details. If you want the 2 buttons, fine. If you want the click launch buttons, fine. If you want look ahead, fine. Don't want it, no problem. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. Basically, this is what's let's say in our product. It's the product shop you get, profile, menu settings, self-service, things like Apple Pay, Google Pay, native widgets, and optional features which can be enabled or disabled by every country. And so basically those are free features that they get so that they enable them anyway, because why would you build your own inbox if you get it for free? Why won't you build your chat module if you can get it for free, calling to customer service, and a full-fledged search module in the app? Personal insights, enticements, really popular in the Netherlands. Lesson 5, also one of my favorites. That's configuration and extending your architecture. Still no alarm, very good. So of course, the first obvious choice is web. Yeah. So at some point, you become the bottleneck to all these 6 countries. So there's just the 25 teams that we have, and that's it. So at some point, if you scale to other countries, you get all these questions for capacity, and it's just never enough. So at some point, you scale to web. So we do this in 2 ways. First, with a full page click out to a web page without leaving the app, so that's inside the app. And the second way is to embed micro front ends of web in between native components. So the upside of that is that you're not operationally a bottleneck. So the teams, either in your country or other countries, can autonomously deploy their micro front ends within your app. So essentially, what you are is you're moving from a closed native, I would say, fortress ecosystem to, well, it's a bit of a dirty word, but I really like it. You're a content carrier. You have a platform, and on top of that, countries can build their content. The next thing is that we move away from the traditional pages paradigm in the app. So the landing page, the financial forecast page, and so on. We literally rip apart the GUI components into widgets. Now I know that the concept of widgets is not new. It's already quite mainstream. Except mostly, if you see a widgetized app, well, that's essentially a GUI exercise, a redesign, restyling exercise. For us, widgets are really autonomous micro front ends. And why do we want to create this? Because we want to place them anywhere in the app we want, moving away from the traditional pages paradigm. So we have pages for widgets for cart configuration, to-do lists, money tooling, your daily money task, all the sales things that we offer. And then The next step is that we move away from pages to grids, where we basically load a specific grid with a specific set of features based on, well, good question. That can be based on a customer segment, that can be based on time of the year, maybe some a campaign that's going on. So if you see here on the bottom right, the orchestrator basically tells which grid to load on a page. And the app config basically says what to load. So the orchestrator says how to show a page, like which grid, and the app configs the app, the digital channel to what kind of content do you want to show. Yeah, so exactly what kind of widgets to show. And then, of course, underneath, there's the personalization engine thing going on, analytics and Gen AI, which at the moment, unfortunately, I can't tell you anything about, but maybe that's for next year at Devworld. So moving away from pages to grids. All right, the last lesson. I have 3 more minutes, I see. That is sticking to your concept. So there can be no extendable architecture. There can be no truly scalable app if you don't stick to the concept of, let's say, one app. That means one repository. And one repository for us means really a trunk-based strategy. So all the countries, and sometimes, organizationally, politically, I would say, regarding stress and go live, yeah, it's hard, but we stick to this concept. It's trunk-based strategy, merging to master. Master goes to the stores, and all the countries. It's quite small for you, I know, but the message here is that all the countries have the same app version with the same feature set. So it's literally one app. So you can, if possible, you can only fix forward. Yeah, although probably the speaker before me has all kinds of wizardry here before it, so I'm just gonna better hop to his stand. And we only hotfix, by the way, if there's an immediate customer impact in one of the countries. So we almost never hotfix. So that's the thing. Always fix forward. And then, with 1 minute left, this is basically where it all comes together. Like the whole concept comes together with one pipeline. So we kick off our stuff at Azure. We add the iOS, Android SDK, add the security libs, style sheets, and so on, the stuff that we consume from others. We add global modules for all the countries that they can either enable or just get them. And then by country, we add possible local country modules, such as, well, Ideal, by means of dependency injection. And then we just sign the files and upload to app stores. And then the countries can decide whether to go live with them or not. Well, which they mostly, of course, do, because we have like a 2-weekly release cycle. And basically, that's that. So let's recap on the lessons. So what we learned is, 1, participation and contribution is key to your international project. Do not be a closed ecosystem. It will be an open community that countries can get a skin in the game for your project. Product, not purpose. Yeah? Don't become a series of mini startups that basically battle for their own existence, battle to optimize their purpose. Reuse services of others if there's better. Buy from the market, the best breed from the market or from within your own organization. You would wonder how difficult that sometimes is to let go. Standardize for global, but allow for customization. Then 5, extend your architecture. Don't be afraid of web. You should know how many tribal wars I had within my department about like letting extending to web or not. But please do so. Otherwise, you will become the bottleneck for others. And 6, stick to your concept. If you really have one product, if you really want to standardize and quickly scale across, there can be no other than just one code base. And I think that's that. Thank you. And yes, we're hiring. So if you're interested, thank you. Thank you. If you're interested, send me an email and enjoy Devworld and keep coding. Thank you.